Ready to take your life to the next level? Then you're in the right place. Get all the information you need to be better, improve everything, and live life like a pro. This is the Menprovement Podcast with Sean Russell.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Menprovement Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Russell, and on this podcast, I interview the most incredible men alive to get them to give us step-by-step tips to becoming better men. And today I have an awesome episode for you with Andy Murphy. He's an expert NLP practitioner, and he teaches high-level athletes, high-level entrepreneurs, and some of the most incredible people alive to program their brain to create the success they want. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. And you can take any of the tools and use them to create in your life whatever it is you want: money, success, happiness, and even a wildly awesome sex life. I'm really pumped for it. But before we jump into today's show, I have some huge announcements. First off, the Menprovement Academy is finally live. It has officially launched. I'm sorry for being a few days late on the launch, guys, but man, this was a huge undertaking, but we did it, and it's absolutely incredible. I'm excited for you guys to see it, and it's live right now at menprovementacademy.com. And for everyone who signed up to our list to get your promo code, we actually had some technical difficulties, so we did away with the promo code. But you guys who signed up to that list, you'll get a free gift from us. Not sure what it's going to be yet, but it's going to be awesome, and we'll hit you up with that in the next couple months. But for everyone listening, all you have to do is go to menprovementacademy.com, and without a promo code, you can sign up for the Academy for the next 2 weeks for only $50, and you will have a lifetime membership. You will never pay another dollar to us. So right now, real quick, I'm just going to go over what the Academy is, what's in it, what you get right now, and what to expect in the future. So essentially, the Menprovement Academy is our membership program from menprovement.com, and the goal of it is to help you become the ultimate man. It's going to build you step by step into the ultimate man, regardless of what it is you want to accomplish, whether it be financial goals, whether it be health and fitness goals, whether it be goals with women, inner goals, beating anxiety and depression, becoming more confident. Whatever you can think of, we will cover it. It's going to be the #1 program for men in the world. I can promise you that. And you have a unique opportunity here to get in at a fraction of what the price is going to be. So what are you going to get if you sign up for the Academy in the next 2 weeks? Well, essentially, you get all 5 of our premium programs. The first one is called Endless Confidence with Dan Monroe. And Dan Monroe is here on the podcast, and he is a confidence coach, and he's absolutely amazing. So I got him to do an interview series with me, 8 lessons to teach you how to become a truly, authentically confident man from the inside out. And I'm talking about the kind of guy who can go out into the world, do anything, truly own who he is, and not give a fuck what anyone thinks. You become truly unshakable. This program alone has changed my life. The next program is Social Artistry with John Cooper. And you guys know John from the podcast as well. And I got John to come on and talk to me and give another 8-lesson program on how to become a type of guy who doesn't need women to fulfill himself. And the best example I can think of is I have a friend who has a girlfriend, and whenever we go out, he goes out and has just such a great time. And every girl who he comes in contact with and dances with throughout the night wants to hook up with him at the end of the night because he has a girlfriend, he's not needy, and he's just out there having a great time. Well, this program will teach you to be that guy, and you won't have a girlfriend. So then we'll teach you in that program to take masculine action with these girls so you can date them, sleep with them, and do whatever it is you want with them and have the truly abundant sex life you want. And so you won't be like most guys who go out into the world unfulfilled and feel like they need women to make them happy, but you'll be happy and fulfilled from within, and you'll be living your life on your purpose and path after listening to this program. And in turn, you will be the most attractive guy in the bar or wherever you are always. And since you're going to be dating so many beautiful, beautiful girls, as many as you want or just that special one, I got the legendary JD Dallas to come on and do an entire program about dating mechanics. So we we walk you through, JD walks you through step by step, from walking out of your house to seeing a beautiful girl, to texting her, to taking her on the first date, to getting her back to your house, to having sex with her before you even watch the movie that you rented, to solidifying her as either a girlfriend, one of your many girlfriends who is cool with that, or a fuck buddy, or anything else. And then we go over so much more, and he actually throws in some of his premium programs for free. This program alone is worth hundreds of dollars, and it's one of our 5 programs, and every program we're talking about now is worth at least $100 or more. I would say these programs are absolutely priceless, and they truly have changed my life. Making them was such an absolute pleasure. I can't wait for you guys to hear them. And then the last 2 programs, one is a 30-day self-improvement boot camp that I actually designed myself based on my own life and all the habits that I do in everyday life. It takes the most important 12 core habits of highly successful people, and over a 30-day boot camp, it instills them inside of you. And if you can complete this program, if you can complete this boot camp, you're going to be a new man, and you're going to be able to do anything. And the last program is actually our quitting porn program, how to quit porn for good, for any guys who are interested in that. This program alone retails right now for $59. So you're getting an incredible deal. You're getting these 5 programs right away. They're ready for you to look at right now. This is, in my opinion, $1,000 in programs, and they are going to be much more expensive. Each one of these programs alone is going to cost more than $50 when this 2-week period ends, and you can jump on them and get all of them right now for $50. And along with that, you are a member of the Menprovement Academy for life. So we are going to design and are designing a 1-year-long self-improvement program to take you and turn you into the ultimate man. From your mindsets and programming your mind to health, fitness, style, social mastery, dating, business mastery, how to make a full-time living, not doing the 9-to-5, everything you can think of to make you into the ultimate man. We're developing this program, and it's absolutely awesome. And when this program is done, it is going to cost thousands of dollars to be a part of, and you get to be a part of it for only $50. You'll never pay us another penny. On top of that, we're going to have success stories. We already have success stories in there. We got Mark Summers' success story on how he went from a shy dude to now having an absolute abundance of women in his life. And we talk exactly how he did it. And we're going to have success stories like this. And we want you guys to be success stories. We're going to have exclusive webinars, exclusive podcasts, exclusive videos every month. And it's just going to be awesome. We're going to have a members-only forum. We're going to have masterminds. I want to make this into the ultimate membership program for men, and I will. If you think this podcast is good, you know that I pour my heart and soul into everything that I do, and this will be the best program for men. And I'm not taking shortcuts. I'm not going to lie to you. This year-long self-improvement program, it might take a while to be complete because I'm going to do it absolutely right. I'm going to hire the right people to create the visuals, to make stunning videos, and to make it awesome. And I'm really excited for you guys to be a part of it. So you get so much value right off the bat, and then you get infinite value. You'll never pay another dollar. And as soon as this 2-week period ends, the price will quadruple, and it will go up every single month. Eventually, this program will be at least $50 a month, $500 a year, or $2,000 one-time fee. And I'm not lying to you. If you were to ask me what this program is like in 1 year or 3 years, I would tell you it's like being a kid in a candy store when you go on here as a man. Videos to do this, videos to do that, step-by-step programs, what to do on Tinder, how to get girls on Plenty of Fish, Tinder, anything. Everything you could think of. It's going to be awesome. And I'm so grateful for all of you guys for being part of Menprovement at the very beginning, because we're just about a year and a half old, and you guys have been awesome. You know, you're emailing me, giving me suggestions, and it's great. So I'm happy to extend this offer to you guys to get into the Academy for life for only $50. And I can't wait to connect with all of you, and I can't wait for you to see it. So head to menprovementacademy.com, and for the next 2 weeks, you can get access to the Academy and be a member for life for only $50. All right, so that's that. And today, let's get into our podcast with Andy Murphy, how to program your brain to achieve anything. What's up, guys? I'm here today with Andy Murphy. What's up, Andy? How are you?
I'm absolutely awesome, Sean. Thank you for having me on here, mate. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm a big fan of what you do, and I actually listen to your podcast myself, so I know that you have some amazing information to share with us, so I'm excited to jump into it. But for people who don't know you yet, who are you and what exactly do you do?
Yeah, that's probably a good place to start, right? Yeah. Well, obviously, my name's Andy Murphy. What I do is I'm a peak mental performance coach. What the hell does that mean, right? It means I do something called neurolinguistic programming and lots of other behavioral techniques. And what do? I help people basically be happy, earn more money, and win at whatever they want to do. And so I've worked with over the last 13 years. I'm originally from Liverpool in the UK, but I've lived outside the UK now for 13 years. I've lived in Australia, New Zealand, California, Bali, and I tend to bounce around the world a lot, you know. So, and I've worked with clients from Saudi Arabian royalty to world champion athletes, to 8-9-figure entrepreneurs, to TV producers, to actors, to stand-up comics, to trauma victims, to everyone else in between, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. And as a guy who's into self-improvement, I know that everything, it starts in the mind, you know, without tuning your mind, then nothing else follows. So I'm excited to get into this, but what exactly is NLP?
In NLP is basically, I won't go into the history behind it, but it's basically a way to take control of your neurology. Now, understanding that neurology is like a muscle, and that's all it is. We can go into neuroplasticity and all the rest of it, but neurology is just like a muscle. So it gives you the ability to fire whatever thoughts, feelings, and actions that you want to whenever you want to. So you can build new patterns of behaviors. Another way to describe it is like you've got your conscious and unconscious mind. Your conscious mind is the bit of the mind that everyone is listening to me talk, and me and you were talking, and Sean. It's also the bit of your mind that we're able to navigate your focus through. So my definition of the unconscious mind is literally the software that plays in the background of your head. That's like the software that plays in the background of a computer. What does that do? You know, it runs automatically, it gets outdated, and it makes your computer perform a certain way. And that's the same with your brain. So understand that you've been building this software or this muscle or these patterns since you were in the womb, and they go on autopilot. And what most people do is just think that those thoughts and feelings are just what they think and feel. But guess what? It's not. It's just an outdated pattern, or it's not real, is what I'm trying to say. So when you start to look at this, that's how I'm able to help professional mixed martial arts fighters step into the cage after losing 5. And that's how I'm able to help people with chronic anxiety who are going on a TV set get on set, or just an entrepreneur kick ass, you know?
Yeah, it's incredible, and I'm fascinated by the whole thing. So essentially, you're saying that you don't have to feel the way you feel. It's all programming, and you can essentially design the way your mind thinks.
That's exactly it. Hence the name of my podcast, right? Mindset by Design. It really is. Neurology is there for you to design. And neuroscience is catching up, something I've done for like 13 years, but now neuroscience is really catching up over the last 4 or 5 years. And they're showing how the brain is really so flexible. It's like plastic, and you're able to mold it to whatever you want, which directly affects how you literally see the world, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and as a guy in my history, I actually had a pretty bad anxiety disorder 2 or 3 years ago, and I cured it with a program that was NLP based, and it had pattern breaking techniques. It kind of retrained the amygdala is what it did,
right,
to break away from the anxiety loop that I had. And so that got me into this, and now I really am interested in learning how to kind of keep moving forward with NLP and these things. So
sure.
I don't even know where to start here, but I mean,
we can start whatever you want, mate. We can start whatever you want.
Let's talk about men and programming their minds. I think one of the most important things for men is self-confidence. So,
right.
How can guys kind of design the mindset that they want to become more confident and more charismatic?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a beautiful question. I think it starts with, everything starts with awareness, Sean. It really is. And society's changed so much. So what's happened is, from my side anyway, whether it's what other people think, but from my side, I mean, what I love about your podcast is it's about men, right? And especially in California, because I lived there for like 6 years now, and it's there's so many women empowerment groups. I mean, the women are being empowered all over the place, and the guys have forgot. So all of these women are coming through, and they're all kicking ass in business and all the rest of it. And guess what that does? That takes away, that disempowers men, because it takes away that masculine energy. I mean, it goes back to, like you were talking about, the amygdala parts of the brain, and that's the fight or flight or freeze response. But at the end of the day, it's also primal. And as men, we're supposed to go and hunt and gather. That's what we do. And these roles, I'm sure you've explained all this before, but this role...
We actually haven't got into this, no.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, this role has changed so much in society that it's left men without an identity, if you want to call it that, or it's actually left men with the reptilian part of our brain, the amygdala, not knowing really what to do. And this is why we get anxious, nervous, and we do all of these things. So it's really understanding about, this is another thing. Every single problem I've ever found in any single person ever, it doesn't matter if they're world champion, they've earned $10-20 million that year, we always want more. And because we always want more, we're stepping outside of our comfort zone, or the boundary that we put around what's possible. And because society's really disempowered men these days, then what happens is we're afraid to step into the unknown. And so what happens is that we then get in our own head instead of just going out and hunting and gathering. And this creates this anxiousness, this pain. So really what it's about understanding is about self-worth. I have not found an issue ever that isn't about lack of self-worth, right? And that might sound real cheesy, a little bit hippie or metaphysical or something, but it's the truth. It really is. For example, I'm putting a fighter into a cage. Guess what? What's the reason they think they can't win? Because they don't feel that they're good enough. You think that might just not relate to fighting? No, it relates to everything. It's the same with an entrepreneur expanding their business or bringing on clients or earning more money. That doubt kicks in. That fear kicks in. And that really is connected to that amygdala part of the brain, which is the fight, flight, or freeze. So what happens is we get boxed in by these boundaries. And this becomes like a muscle or a wall around what's possible. So the reason why I say mindset by design about design is we design the neurology that's outside of this boundary. So your unconscious mind has a new piece of software, a new pattern, and you can bypass or get around that amygdala part of the brain that you're talking about. So am I ranting on here, Sean? Or is this making sense, mate?
It's making sense. No, and feel free to rant, because you're the expert here. You know, you could talk the whole time. I don't really need to ask you questions, because quite frankly, it's hard for me to even ask questions on something that I'm so new in as well. So I'm just interested in hearing how we can bypass our programming and start to program new stuff.
Beautiful. But also, mate, you know your audience, and you know you're a man too, right? So it really is about understanding that this software that plays in the background of our head is just something that's happened to us from the experiences that we have. Now, let me explain that a bit further, right? So, well, when we're born, our mind is like a blank canvas. Now, is that strictly true with epigenetics and stuff like that? No, but let's just use it as an example. It's like a blank canvas. So every single time we have an experience, whether it's good or bad, a new path is formed, a piece of software. At the end of that path, there's a movie. Now, is it strictly a movie? No, but we're using it as this frame and example. So what happens is you make a decision about every single experience that you ever have. So let me put that for example. You're building patterns of behavior even when you're in the womb. So if your parents are kicking off and going crazy outside and always stressed before you've even got out the womb, your neurology, your unconscious mind is building software and it's making decisions about the world. So you're going, damn, that place is scary out there. I don't feel safe. I've got to protect myself. Maybe I'm not even worthy of being out there because that place seems scary. And then you pop out into the world, and guess what? Generally, what happens? I come from a real working class background, Sean, like a real working class background. And there was no understanding of money or entrepreneurism or anything. And so my parents, I'm sure it's the same, a lot of listeners, it's, they were arguing about money, always arguing about money. And so what's this little kid doing? This little kid's looking at the world, at these people that they trust, and making decisions about money or about health or about life or about how to treat your partner. And so what happens is you start to make these decisions, and you go, like with money, for example, you're like, well, damn, it's like this, it seems like everybody wants it, but it seems really scarce. And it feels maybe I don't deserve that because my parents don't seem to deserve it because they're not getting it. So then you make these new decisions. Guess what? This muscle starts pumping and pumping and getting bigger and thicker. And guess what? That becomes your blueprint of how you see the whole of the world. That first 0 to 7 years is called the imprint stage. And that's where you literally put, the blueprint down of how you're going to start to see the world. So to be confident, guess what? Well, it starts. You got to understand that it starts right before as you were born, but also understand that it's not real. It's not real. It's just muscle or software that gets outdated. It's been built up into a pattern and it's led you up to where you are now. But guess what? Whatever you do next leads you towards where you want to go. So that's why it becomes very important to start designing the next steps of your life or the vision or the goals. Again, does this make sense, Sean? Because you just I'll just keep going otherwise, buddy.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And it reminds me of the program that I use for anxiety and how the guy explained it. He explained it as a CD, and you continue to burn a groove in this CD, and it becomes what you believe and what you think, but you can actually change that, and then eventually that groove will fill in, and you can put your own groove in, if that makes any sense. But
makes total sense, and you can tell that you did that a while ago because we're talking about CDs. This is cool. Yeah, so I'm ready to keep going, and Phil, you don't need to stop. Just feel free. It's all you. Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. So really, it's so once you understand that it's not real, then what does that do for you? Well, it's free. It's freeing. It's totally free. And how you go up and talk to a girl, guess what? That's not real. How you go and step into creating this new business, it's not real. It's just old patterns that are getting outdated. And so when I first, to go back to understanding where I first jumped into neurolinguistics was in, when I left, I'm 37 now, just turned a couple of weeks ago, getting old. And when I first jumped into doing this, I was working in IT, computers, and it was never my passion, but I was doing it just to earn money, and I could travel when I was like 23 years old. So I left the UK on my own when I was 24, went to Australia in Sydney, didn't have a job, didn't know anyone, just appeared. Right? But I trusted that intuition side of me. And that's how I fell into NLP, because I used it. I fell into it in sales, and we got very good very quickly. And there's a group of us I became one of the top in Australia. Then we got headhunted to New Zealand, where I worked for the largest real estate developers in New Zealand. And again, broke every record, headhunted to multiple companies. And 5 years went by. I got a little bored. I know I was earning good money, all the rest of it, but then wanted to take. There's somewhere I'm going with this story. Don't worry, Sean. But and then wanted to take my life to the next level. Now I got bored and my friend came back from Dubai with a tiny little newspaper clipping. And in this newspaper clipping, it was the Worldwide Property Fair. And I said, my bright idea was, okay, I'm going to take Australian and New Zealand real estate to Dubai to sell it down. And I'd never put a business plan together. And I went to a guy who was working with us. who I found out later lied to me from the very first day I met him. But he was helping me out with putting a business plan together. And he was putting a project to build a resort in Fiji. And I've been doing this for years, but he knew who I was. So we combined, and he said, what happens if we took this project over to Dubai to sell it down? And that's what we did. So I was putting together for the couple of years, like a $100 million project over in Fiji. Now, we took it over to Dubai. Everything was going awesome. Then I came back, and my business partner thought it was a great idea to steal all my money, sent me into bankruptcy, sent me into a nervous breakdown, sent me into depression, and I lost everything. I lost what I thought was a lot, which is not what I thought it was. It was either a professional model as a girlfriend, beautiful house, second 5 Series BMW. I went from losing all of that to basically living in the basement of a gym, just training and fighting every day. And it was there that the reason why I'm telling you this is because this was a pinnacle moment in my life, and I didn't have that confidence. But I trusted who I was. And what do I mean by that? I was sitting there one day and I was like, okay, well, I can keep doing this, or we can really change things. And I know that I'm good at what I do because I've seen over 2,000 people face to face in sales. I know I can do that, but I'd never used it for performance based. I'd never helped anyone with it. I just closed deals, you know? So it was at that moment that, one, I trusted my own intuition, and it stopped me going. I was supposed to get flown to Hong Kong that week for a job working for one of the largest real estate developers in the world through Hong Kong. And I had second phone interview. They wanted to fly me over that week, but this intuition just kicking in, and it's telling me there's something doesn't feel right. And what I did from that moment is I borrowed money. I couldn't even afford food or rent at that point, but I borrowed money and flew to LA for 5 days. And came back, and that was what put me on this whole path over the last 7 years of working with performance-based stuff. But the reason why I'm saying this, it was that lowest time in my life. And I'm sure there's listeners out there that can relate. But understand this one principle. It does not matter where you are. It matters who you are. Because where you are is not who you are. And when you know that, I go back to the self-worth issue. And when you know that inside of yourself, that it doesn't matter what circumstances, it doesn't matter how shit they are, it does not matter what's around you. You can design whatever you want to do next. And that's what I did. And this little voice kicked in my head and said, look, what do you want? If you could do whatever you want, what is it? What's your perfect day look like? Now, that might sound cheesy to a lot of people out there. What's your perfect day look like, right? But guess what? That's what changed my life. I wrote down from morning to night everything that would, and it's burnt in my head. It's burnt in my head. That neurology is big and thick. So my whole life is moving towards it. Then I wrote down what are the top 10 things that I would do that would excite me every day, and I wouldn't even care if I got paid for. And that was working with professional fighters. That was traveling. I had a goal back then to earn $1,000 being able to work from my laptop sitting at the beach. Well, they got done all those goals years ago. So what does this mean? It means confidence comes from knowing your self-worth, knowing who you are. And then it's about working out the next steps. What do you want? Why do you want it? How are you going to get there? And who are you going to be to achieve it? Once you know that, man, then guess what? You just go and put the work in and start building it. Does that make sense, Sean? Because again, you tell me to keep ranting, buddy, and I'll keep ranting, so I have to keep checking in.
No, this is a good time for me to input because it makes so much sense to me, because partly I've been learning for the last 3 years from guys like you and other guys around the world. So trust me when I say, like, I have my perfect day written down. I look at it almost every week. I've deconstructed what I have to do every single day to get there. I've wrote down the beliefs that this guy has, the values that this guy has, and then I live by them in the present moment. And I visualize being there on a daily basis, and
awesome.
I can say that it's life changing, and it's amazing. And thank you for sharing that story with us, because it's an incredible story and I really appreciate that. But what you're talking about, it reminds me of, I started to get into the law of attraction like 3 years ago. And when I first started getting into it, it wasn't anything, rich or anything. It was just like, positive thoughts and belief, from watching The Secret. But then I started to evolve and learn from guys like yourself. And I started to do these steps, really writing down who I want to be, thinking about who I want to be, encompassing that, and then trying to live as that guy now and hold those values. And I think that's when I found that things just find their way to me. Like, it's amazing. It's what I need finds its way into my life, or someone will email me the next day and things are just falling into place, and it's amazing. And I tried experiments with this early on with like girls. I would picture like a beautiful girl and everything and imagine being, and then I'd get a text the next day from a girl I haven't spoke to for 6 months. And I even did it with checks in the mail, and it actually worked for me, because that's what they talked about in The Secret. But now I've taken it farther to designing my entire life by like you said, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, and then having it on paper, and then deconstructing how I'm going to get there. And, so trust me, I know when you say that it works, it does. And I never even thought about it, that's kind of what breeds confidence. But I can imagine, it does, because I'm twice as confident as I used to be.
For sure. And I mean, The Secret, we're coming from a different place there. We're talking, don't know what your listeners, but there's 3 things that I need to be able to navigate through life. And I don't teach them to everybody, because not everyone wants to hear that frame. Meaning, if I'm talking to a professional fighter about spirituality, then 99% of the times they're not really interested, right? So you've got to communicate the way that people want to hear. The 3 things that I need is, 1, I need something like NLP or something like it. Why? Because that builds new patterns of behavior through neurology. I also need things like science, right? And that's quantum physics. Why? Because that's infinite possibility. So it enables you to allow yourself never to be stuck again. You always can move forwards, because there's always a new option. And then I need something like spirituality or the universe or whatever the hell you want to call it. It doesn't even faze me what people call it, right? We can go there, we're a soul bouncing around in having a human experience. Sure. Or we can go, it's just about frequency. And that's what you're talking about really with the law of attraction. What do I mean by frequency? Well, we've all experienced those times where you're just in flow. It's effortless. Things are pumping to you and you have no idea why. Well, to me, that's what the law of attraction is, or I always go back to the universe of frequency. So I navigate and control my neurology. It controls the quantum world. It controls the frequency. It controls where I'm going. And so I put those 3 things together, and it seems to navigate okay.
Absolutely. And some people might, if this is new to some people, they might think like, oh, this is crazy, it's woo woo. But to be honest, like, what do you have to lose? Because it doesn't affect you negatively to believe in these things and kind of design your life. And it, like, I'm 100% sure that it works, like, because I see it every single day. And the question I have for you is, because I read about this stuff all the time,
right?
Is on a chemical and like a brain level, it has a lot to do with like your RAS and programming, kind of how you perceive and what you see in the world, doesn't it?
It's everything. Again, it's the same things coming from whatever context somebody wants to hear it in, right? So we'll talk about the science behind it. From me, there's the law of attraction. Cool. Whatever you want to work with. But from another way to look at it is, absolutely, you're talking about the RAS, your reticular activating system. And that's basically, I'll explain that, because this is the power of everything. Understanding that neurology is a muscle. Understand that. That's the biggest thing you have to understand. And if you've been lifting weights on your right arm for 20 years, guess what? That muscle's big, thick, and easy to do that rep. But if you start, suddenly I was to, let's say, Sean, stop lifting weights on your right arm, mate. It's massive. Stop doing that. Start working out your left arm. And you're like, this feels awkward. This feels horrible. I don't like this. And you suddenly start sneaking back to your right arm. And I'm like, dude, stop lifting on that right arm. It's huge. stop it. And you're like, yeah, but it feels normal. I'm easy. I can do this. And I'm like, right. That's what people do with old and new habits, or trying to develop something new. It just because it feels comfortable doesn't mean it's giving you the result that you want, right? So how does this fall into context with this filter system? Well, it works just like your Gmail account. That's the best way I explain it. It works like your Gmail. And what happens is you get flooded with emails every single day, right? What does Gmail do? Well, it deletes what it thinks you don't want, puts the rest in your spam folder, and what's left in your inbox is what it's set for you to see. Now, this is the same with your filter. We get flooded with information through our 5 senses every single second. Guess what? That's too much for our conscious mind. Remember, conscious and unconscious mind. So too much for our conscious mind. So it goes through this filter. Now, I can go into I won't go into, I'm going to go on a rant now with numbers and stuff, but there's no need to go there right now. So it goes through our filter. What appears in our outside world is like what appears in the inbox. It's just what our filter is set for us to see. Let's put that in a less metaphysical or trippy way, right? How many times have you seen a new sports car? Might not have seen that many times before, but as soon as you see it, the damn car is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So or you might have gone to buy a new car. You might not have seen the car many times before, but it appears everywhere. Or a piece of music, right? You might not have heard that piece of music many times, but you start to hear it everywhere. What does that mean? Does it mean the car didn't exist? No, it means your filter wasn't set to see it. Now, let me explain that a little bit further. Your filter system, your reticular activating system, your RAS, works like Google. Whatever you type in comes up. And so understand it a little bit further. What's in your filter? What's in your filter is your beliefs, your attitude, your language, your values, and other bits and pieces. But your beliefs around what? Everything. Beliefs around the future, the past, the present. The beliefs around the transition of this business, going to speak to that girl. It goes on, which directly affects your attitude. It directly affects your physiology. It directly affects the neurochemicals that are getting flooded through every cell and fiber of your body. It directly affects what you say inside your head. So when we start understanding the power of the filter, because this old muscle, the old version of you connected to your old filter, so that's why you're getting the results that you are. When we start unlocking this, designing what's next, designing these next steps, designing where we want to go, then guess what happens? We start building new patterns of behavior. Guess what? Just like a muscle. You might get all pumped up, come out of a gym going, yeah, look at the size of me. But guess what? No one else can tell. No one else can see nothing, but you feel good. But because what happens in life is that, well, in the gym, you just keep lifting, and then eventually a couple of months later, people are going, damn, what have you been doing? But in life, we can't see that growth. So what happens is most people give up. And why they give up? Because they haven't hit that tipping point, because they didn't even know that tipping point existed. They didn't know about neurology being formed. They didn't know about the filter. They didn't know about self-worth. They didn't know about designing things. And so when people start to understand this, understand that the old neurology doesn't mean anything. The new neurology isn't even real anyway. It's just pointing our life, our frequency, our quantum world, our neurology, our filter system, whatever you want to call it, where we want to go. This is the same pattern, the same systems that I teach to multimillionaires, world champion athletes, whoever it is. So for anyone out there thinking, oh, it sounds a bit whatever, well, guess what? The best in the world use this. And if you're not using this, there's a reason why you're not the best in the world.
Yeah, it fascinates me. And I want to use it in an example. So like, say there's a guy and he doesn't think he's attractive, and he has a belief inside him that women don't like him, that women find him unattractive. So he's got his reticular activating system, his RAS, right, and that's his filter. And he's being bombarded every day by, billions of bits of information that never reaches conscious mind. So during the day, he walks around and he sees evidence that prove his beliefs, because his beliefs are what tells the RAS what to let in. So it's going to let in evidence that women don't like him. correct? So like
That's
he's
it.
going to walk around and he's going to see evidence that women don't like him, that he's unattractive and all this. But if he were to decide, okay, well, I want to be an attractive guy, I want to be charismatic, I want to be the guy that women, you know, they like and there's something about, and I guess he every day, what are some things that he can do every day to kind of enforce this belief in himself?
Yeah, you're heading down a deep path now, buddy. So
let me finish this thought and then we'll jump into that if it's a deep path. So he wants to be the guy who's attractive, and so he starts to believe that, hey, you know, I'm an attractive guy, I have a lot to offer women, and you know, women find me attractive, and he starts to truly believe that. And over time he reprograms his reticular activating system, his filter, to let in that evidence. So he reprograms his beliefs, and then he starts to get evidence in the world that women find him attractive, because that is what he's programmed to see, and all the other information that says otherwise is going into his so-called spam folder. And I think that's a really clear explanation based on like what a lot of guys have a belief about. So that's cool. And so how can someone kind of program a new belief into them? What are some things that they can do?
For sure. I mean, there's two different topics I'll talk about there. Well, first of all, understand that there's been times in your life that you were the version of you that you wanted. Even if it was that confident. Let's talk about confidence. There was times in your life that you were confident. It might not have been about talking to women, but might have been about basketball. It might have been about everything, right? But there's a certain chemical response and certain belief and certain attitude and certain muscle that's firing in that confidence. Well, understand that your brain knows how to be confident. So if you go back inside that memory and start again, I'm not going to explain this. I can't get into this in detail. This is what I do for personal clients, but it's a case of, I just want to give you some people that you can take away and apply it, you know? Mm-hmm. So by going back and literally being inside that memory, thinking it, feeling it, acting it, living it, seeing it through your own eyes, guess what that does? That lights up that neurological network, that pattern. So that's their version of them. That's called a state. Once that version of them, if they just imagined and paid attention to the physiology, the way they're breathing, standing, what they're saying to themselves, then what they're able to do is, if you just imagine going in and talking to that girl, being that version of you, guess what happens? The neurology begins to link together. Okay? So when you start playing around with that, you start to bind those thoughts and feelings and actions to a new possibility. So that's the first thing to remember. So in order to put it in a slightly different context so people understand it, it's like, okay, you walk into a club, right? There's this hot chick at the bar. You're like, damn, I want to talk to her. But this old programming is telling you what? You're shy. You're shy. She doesn't want to talk to you. You're shy. You're not good enough. You're shy. You're shy. You're shy. You're shy. All I'm saying is the word shy. But enough times to yourself. And I'm not saying it with real any tonality or anything. I'm just saying the word shy, 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 shy. Even, right.
I feel it. I don't like that. Yeah.
It's horrible. But guess what happened? Some of you out there might have noticed that your head just tilted forward, your shoulders started to round, you started to go into a small little ball. Well, guess what? You can't do anything being that version of you. So let's flip the coin, right? Let's flip the coin. You go in there and you were confident. And all you were saying to yourself, right, is, I'm confident. I'm confident. I'm confident. I'm confident. I'm confident. Of course that girls want to go and talk to me. I'm funny. It doesn't matter what I look like. I'm funny. I'm confident. I'm confident. I'm confident. I'm confident. All we're using is one word. Slight tonality change for sure. But I promise you, out there, I bet you half of your audience started to sit up straight. Your shoulders went back more. Your head tilted up more. And your breathing changed. That's just one word. But guess what the result is? You can, just by saying those things to yourself, literally starts to encode the neurology a different way. Now, this is all conscious stuff. Now, this is all I'm trying to explain is conscious stuff. Now, we have a whole way of retraining that software, which is the unconscious stuff. But again, like I said before, there's two ways to build neurology, externally and internally. Externally, just by taking control of this, it's going to take a lot longer, but you're still going to get the result that you want within time. And we hit that tipping point, like I spoke about before, with business or life or anything. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. But it will be when you allow yourself to see it. So then you can go, well, when you see that girl, if you're the confident version of you and you're standing there, guess what's going to happen? Your tonality, the pace, the pitch, the timbre of your voice is different. Your belief, your attitude is different. And you go over there, and even if she said she wasn't interested or she was busy, who cares? Because you're being this confident version of you. That's going to let a new reality into you, you know? Does that make sense, Sean?
Yeah, it does. And yeah, for anyone listening, like I had the pleasure of being in a paid program with you and hearing you do an installment where you kind of like took us back into the past when we were confident, right, and we connected to it and we felt it, and then you took us into a future point where like we see a hot girl and imagine being that same self and link that same feeling you had when you were confident playing a sport to the future. And it was so powerful. So for anyone who's into that, definitely check out Andy's website, because you do focus sessions and you do coaching and things like that, right?
Yeah, I do. I'm getting very booked up right now, so I seriously, but yeah, go and connect with me anyway. You know, the Mindset by Design podcast, I give a lot of info, too much info over. And again, you can always book a free focus session. They're going to get put on pause very, very soon.
I could imagine. I was wondering how you do that.
Yeah, for a fair few months. I'm building another project with the Premiership League in the Football League in the UK.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, that's going to be taking all my time up too for the next few months. And then I've got whole different new brands we're building. Plus, I'm building the academy out. That's another way to connect with me is lifebydesign.today. That's my Mindset by Design Academy. You know, and I've just started to grow that thing, but there's already I think 15 hours of video content in there from Hangouts and stuff I've done. So, you know, all different ways.
Yeah, it's great. And before we say goodbye here, I've got a couple more questions. So coming back to your saying, you know, I'm confident I'm confident in the moment. Do affirmations, do they work? Because I've heard information that they do work, and then I've heard from other people that they don't work if you don't truly believe them or something like that.
Well, like most things in the personal development industry, I disagree with, right? Yeah. So that's honestly the truth. People regurgitate the same crap, right? Both of those things are correct. Both of those things are correct, and both of them are wrong. Because to understand, you have your conscious, unconscious mind. Between them, you have a wall. It's called the critical faculty if you want to go there. But what this wall is, that's why you can say affirmations. They'll help you in the moment. 100% they'll help you in the moment. They will change, like I've just spoke about, they will change what neurology is firing, and they will change your state. Absolutely. But they won't go down into the software. They won't change the programming. But what they will do is they will light up the pattern that you want in the moment. That's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. But it's not going to create long-lasting change. It's not going to change the software. It's not going to pull and build this new pattern of behavior, this new muscle. What it's going to do is light it up for when you need it. So the difference is what you have to do is to understand what trance is. And trance is like when I was just doing NLP years ago in sales, I had no idea what trance is. I thought hypnosis was something like you were going to run around as a chicken on stage or something mad, right? I didn't have a clue. But science, this trance is purely technical. It's a science. It's about brainwave frequencies. So when we're able to drop our brainwave frequency into that relaxed state, we're actually hitting the alpha wave. And what that means is that we've got access to the software. And when we've got access to the software, that's when we do our visualization. And then doing that visualization, then we'll create that change. So it's a combination of them both. It's not about unconscious work. It's not about conscious work. It's about both of them together being in alignment so you have control over how you think, feel, and act.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that speaks volumes, because it's one thing I've done and I do every day that I think everyone who's listening can and should do is I've got, I learned this actually, it's just progressed. I've always done visualization and imagine being where I am, but I guess the goal is to reprogram the software. So what I do and what I learned from Jack Canfield recently is he prints out pictures of where he wants to be. And so, like, say, for example, a picture of Bali, and I'll sit there and I'll meditate in the morning and get into that alpha brainwave state. So I'm in trance. And then I'll close my eyes. I'll look at this picture. I'll close my eyes and I'll imagine being there and feeling how it feels to be there, and just really connecting to that feeling. And going even further, before that, I'll think back to a time where I felt really happy and really great years ago, connect to that feeling that already happened, and then try kind of visualize being in the future, reconnecting to that feeling again. So I'm kind of making it real in my mind. I'm programming the software to say, hey, I'm in Bali, I'm there, I'm feeling great and I'm confident. And by doing that, that's what's creating my external experience. I'm programming my RAS. It's what I'm seeing in the world. I see what I need to get there. I meet the right people to get there, and I'm in that flow. So beautiful. That's something I do every single morning, and I think other people can get the same. I'd be really interested to hear what you do every single day, or in the mornings that most people don't.
Well, it's not that most people don't. It's that again, there's a lot of people out there in different morning routines, and it's about taking something complicated and trying to make it simple. And what you've done, by the way, Sean, that's beautiful, mate. That's beautiful. To put it simple, what I want people to do is the unconscious mind works on outcomes. That's how it works. It doesn't care how you're going to get there. Those steps will appear. That's called life. That's called a journey. That's called your evolution. So what happens is, what I want people to do is really just visualize one thing: getting back home or in bed that night, and something amazing has happened. Something, not specific, something amazing has happened. What this does is I want you to sit there until that feeling is pumping around you. And then I could talk about anchoring, and we could talk about lots of different stuff, but just pumping around you. I don't want you to get out of bed till you're itching to get out of bed. But why? Because what this does is it forms a new pattern. It starts to grow a new habit. So your unconscious mind starts to learn in the mornings. By the way, when you're in that groggy state in the morning, that's trance. Just so people are aware, that's trance. So that's a great place to actually, without dropping themselves into different frequencies or meditate. And that's a great way to start building neurology. So the habit starts to form in the morning. Oh, okay. Your unconscious mind starts to go, oh, that's what you want. That's what you want. That's what you want. That's what you want. Guess what? That starts to open your filter, because your filter, remember, works like Google. So whatever you type in comes up. That's why we don't want specifics in the morning. This is my specific routine. We don't want specifics because we want to open it up to infinite possibility. That's why we want something amazing to happen, because then you're allowing this natural process to unlock. Because again, I'll go into a whole different topic around that. But then it's to understand, by starting to form this new habit and this new behavior, this instantly, in the morning fires the correct neurology. The neurology of how you want to be, which directly affects what? Your belief around the day. The belief how you are in it directly affects your attitude to people, places, things, events. Then over time, neurology starts to form. This becomes a new pattern, a new habit. Why? Because we're already in trance. And that's that's what I do every day, Sean.
So just to clarify, you visualize when you wake up, or you visualize during the day waking up and feeling something amazing happen?
I visualize coming back into my house or getting into bed at the end of the day. So it's the outcome, it's completion. Okay,
that's awesome. Yeah, so you wake up and you're already imagining coming back into bed with some, that feeling of if you just made out with your high school crush and you got home, and that feeling of oh my God, I can't believe that happened, that feeling. And that's awesome, man. I thank you for that. So this has been amazing, and I'm so grateful for you coming on here and sharing your information. I hope if anyone's interested in this, they they start learning about it, because the rabbit hole, it goes pretty deep.
For sure, Sean. And I would love to get you on my podcast soon enough too, buddy. That'd be fantastic.
It'd be a pleasure. It'd be a pleasure. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I'm so grateful to have you here. And remember, menimprovementacademy.com. Head there today and sign up and join the most elite program for men in existence. We're going to have a forum. We're going to have a community. We already have incredible programs, and you'll never pay a dime for any program we ever come out with, ever. So head to menimprovementacademy.com, sign up in the next 2 weeks, and I'll see you guys there.